Step through the front door of a vintage countryside home, where crisp white walls catch the soft daylight and weathered wood beams frame the sky beyond. The air feels calm and unhurried, as if every chair, table, and shelf has earned its place over time. Here, nothing is rushed or disposable. Each piece tells a small story of a slower, more thoughtful way of living. Sunlight spills across patterned gingham cushions, a worn rug, and a simple wooden table, creating a scene that feels both elegant and easygoing. The room breathes with quiet cheerfulness, as if inviting you to sit, linger, and simply be. This is the heart of vintage countryside decor, a space where past and present blend into a single, soulful atmosphere. As you explore this world with us, you'll learn how to bring that same sense of calm, character, and heritage into your own home. If you love timeless charm, cozy elegance, and decor that feels like a gentle embrace, make sure to subscribe to Vintage Touch Decor with Soul. Like this video, and tell us in the comments what kind of countryside room you'd love to recreate first. Imagine a room painted in the gentle tones of a countryside morning, soft creams, warm whites, and barely there blues that feel like sunlight on aged linen. The walls seem to breathe, their light, neutral tones inviting the outside in, while still grounding the space with a sense of calm. Natural light bounces softly across the palette, enhancing the grain of wooden floors and the weave of vintage fabrics without washing them out. A pale sage armchair sits beside a slate blue linen curtain, each color standing out yet blending into a harmonious whole. If you want to recreate this look in your own home, start with one main wall tone and let the rest of the room respond in softer accents. Picture a farmhouse living room where wide, honey-toned floorboards stretch from wall to wall, their surface lightly worn by time and footsteps. The grain of the wood tells its own story, catching the crisp daylight and softening it into a warm, inviting glow. Against the wall, a sturdy farmhouse table waits beneath a tall window, its top bearing the faint marks of every meal and every conversation it has hosted. The surrounding chairs are mismatched yet harmonious, each with its own personality but belonging to the same quiet, grounded family of furniture. As you think about bringing farmhouse foundations into your own space, consider starting with just one statement piece, a dining table, a sideboard, or a low bench, and building around it with soft textiles and simple ceramics. Step a little closer to a vintage armchair dressed in pale cream fabric, its seat gently worn from years of quiet evenings. The arms are softly padded, their edges rounded from constant use, and a delicate lace throw rests at one corner, catching the crisp daylight like a whisper of history. On a side table, a chipped porcelain lamp stands beside a stack of old books, their covers gently faded and their spines bowed from frequent reading. A small clock with a soft cream face ticks softly, its hands moving through the same rhythms that have passed through the house for decades. If you want to add shabby chic details to your own space, start with a few carefully chosen pieces, a lace-trimmed cushion, a vintage lamp, or a slightly worn picture frame. Imagine a wide window framed by simple white curtains, its sill lined with a quiet collection of vintage jars, mismatched teacups, and a small vase of wildflowers picked from the garden. The crisp daylight falls across these pieces, catching the curves of ceramic handles and the faint brushstrokes on the glass jars, turning the windowsill into a tiny gallery of everyday treasures. Each item on the sill has its own purpose and story. A chipped creamer waiting for afternoon tea, a small salad bowl turned into a planter, and a stack of old books leaning against the wall like quiet companions. The wood of the window frame is slightly worn, its paint softened by years of sun and rain, yet it still holds everything in place with gentle strength. If you feel inspired by these vintage windowsills, recreate one in your own home with a few found pieces and a few green sprigs or flowers. Picture a vintage countryside living room where a large linen sofa sits calmly beneath a tall window, its fabric slightly rumpled and gently worn from years of restful evenings. The cushions are covered in checks and tiny florals, their colors faded into soft pastels by sunlight and time, while a well-lived-in wool blanket drapes casually over one arm. On the floor, a jute or rag rug lies like a sigh beneath the furniture, its fibers irregular and warm, catching the crisp daylight and softening the sound of footsteps. The curtains are simple and unlined, made of lightweight cotton that flutters with the breeze, casting gentle shadows that dance across the walls. If you want to bring rustic textiles into your own home, start with one large piece, a sofa throw, a rug, or a set of linen curtains, and layer in smaller textiles that echo the same colors and textures. Step into a vintage countryside living room where a simple wooden shelf stands against a pale wall, quietly holding a small collection of ceramic pitchers, mismatched plates, and a few old books. The crisp daylight slides across each object, highlighting curves, handles, and faint brushstrokes, as if every piece is meant to be seen and admired. On another wall, a small cabinet with glass doors reveals a tight grouping of vintage teacups, saucers, and a small iron candlestick, each placed with just enough space to breathe. The arrangement feels intentional yet unforced, like the kind of detail that only emerges over time, as the owner slowly gathers pieces that speak to them. If you want to create your own curated collections, choose one theme, a color, a material, or a shape, and build a small group of objects around it on a shelf, a sideboard, or a windowsill. Picture a vintage countryside dining room where a long wooden table stretches beneath a tall window, its top marked by soft scratches and gentle wear from years of shared meals. The crisp daylight falls across mismatched plates, chipped teacups, and simple linen napkins, turning an ordinary dinner into a quiet ceremony of memory and togetherness. At the center of the table, a simple floral arrangement in a well-worn enamel jug adds a soft burst of color, while a stack of vintage serving platters waits patiently for the next course. The sideboard nearby holds a curated display of mismatched glassware, a few ceramic bowls, and a small iron candlestick ready to light when the daylight fades. If you want to bring this storytelling spirit into your own dining space, begin with one element, a vintage table, a set of mismatched plates, or a simple enamel centerpiece, and build around it slowly over time. Step into a vintage countryside bedroom where a low wooden bed frame stands beneath a simple white iron headboard, its surface softened by years of gentle use. Crisp white cotton sheets lie neatly arranged, topped with a softly worn checkered quilt folded at the foot, while a wooden bench at the end of the bed holds a stack of folded linens and a small vase of wildflowers. A simple wooden nightstand sits beside the bed, crowned with a small iron lamp whose shade casts a gentle, warm glow when the daylight fades. On the wall above, a small framed botanical print hangs in a slightly worn frame, its colors muted and soft, echoing the quiet tones of the room. If you want to create your own vintage bedroom escape, start with a neutral base, a simple bed frame, clean linens, and a soft rug, then layer in a few vintage pieces like a small iron lamp, a woven basket, or a stack of old books. Imagine a vintage countryside living room where a small corner beside a tall window is transformed into a sunlit nook, just right for a quiet morning with a book. A simple wooden armchair sits close to the glass, its seat gently worn and its back slightly slumped from years of comfortable reading. A small shelf or floating shelf above the chair carries a modest stack of well-loved books, their spines softened and their covers faded, standing like old friends waiting to be picked up again. A small iron lamp or a simple candle holder rests on the side table, ready to add a gentle glow when the daylight fades. If you want to create your own cozy window nook, choose a comfortable chair near a window with good daylight, add a soft throw, a small side table, and a few vintage items that feel personal to you. Step back into a vintage countryside living room and notice how each piece seems to carry a quiet memory of its own. A small wooden trunk tucked beside the sofa once crossed a countryside road in an old wagon, its iron hinges worn from years of opening and closing. A framed black and white photograph on the wall holds faces of loved ones, their smiles softened by time, yet still speaking of warmth and belonging. On a side table, a mismatched set of vintage cups and saucers sits as if they were just set down after a long conversation. The delicate patterns on their surfaces are faded, but their shapes remain strong, as if they're proud of having held so many hands and so many moments. If you want to tell your own story through decor, start by choosing a few pieces that already feel meaningful, a family heirloom, a thrift store find you love, or a handmade item, and place them where they'll be seen and touched often. As daylight settles softly over this vintage countryside home, every room feels like a quiet echo of a slower, more thoughtful way of living. The worn wood, the faded textiles, the mismatched dishes, and the sunlit nooks all come together to create a home that does not pretend to be perfect, but simply feels honest and deeply lived in. This is the heart of vintage countryside decor, a space that honors the past while still making room for your present story. Each detail you've seen today, a carefully chosen palette, a rustic table, a shabby chic lamp, a sun-filled window nook, can be woven into your own home, one small piece at a time. You don't need to rebuild everything at once. You only need to start with what speaks to your heart and build a space that feels warm, nostalgic, and unmistakably yours. As you plan your own vintage countryside touches, let them be guided by feeling, not by rules or trends. If this journey into vintage countryside home decor has inspired you, please subscribe to Vintage Touch Decor with Soul, like this video, and share in the comments which room in your home you'd love to transform first into a vintage countryside retreat. Your thoughts and stories are what keep this channel alive, and we look forward to seeing how you bring timeless charm and inspired design into your own space.